G'day guys, welcome back to On Country with Mick. I'm joined here today by a couple of friends and supporters of the channel, the Adventuring Scots. And I'm going to sit down and ask them a few questions about life on the road. You see, Ben and Bex here have been on the road for 18 months, 3 adults, 3 kids and 2 dogs. So I don't know how they're not stir crazy, and I don't know how Bex still has hair. But yeah, we're going to sit down and have a bit of a chat with them today and find out some of the hassles that they've faced when being out on the road, and yeah, just ask them a few questions. So, Bex, welcome. Ben, welcome.
Hey.
And considering Bex doesn't have a drink, cheers.
Cheers.
Alrighty, first thing I want to ask you guys is, what sort of things did you have to do before you packed up and decided to leave on this adventure?
Yes, we decided to go. That was the biggest thing, is actually making the decision to actually go. And then going through emptying the house, getting a storage shed, putting stuff in the storage shed, getting rid of, throw out, sell, give away, contact friends to store some things.
Yeah, right.
It wasn't as easy as just, hey, let's go.
No.
Especially since we were renting out the house rather than selling it like 90% of the people who travel do.
Well, I was actually just going to ask that. Did you just rent the house out? Did you just keep it, or did you decide to sell it off and use that money to travel? Or
No, I've still been working whilst travelling.
Yep.
So we decided to keep the house as a investment and rent it out. It was a bit finicky to begin with because the real estate had some issues, but now that it's all rented, it's running smoothly. They're basically paying for our mortgage.
yeah, nice.
So
what you get from work stays with you, and yeah, you've still got the house there sitting back in Queensland.
yeah, building up equity in it so that when we decide to buy something else, we can.
Yeah, yeah, nice.
But one advice that we give, don't hesitate. If you want to go out and explore and travel and start it, just do it. You need to, the first thing is to say you want to do it and set a date.
Yeah.
Because we hunted hard for months. You need the date. You need to commit a date and not back down on that date. It took us what? We were backwards and forwards.
6 months.
Just because we couldn't decide on that date. You need that first step. Okay, you're going to do it, but then you need a date.
We still had so much ahead of us to deal with before we left.
No,
But as soon as we set a date, it's like
that was it. It's coming. It's
you
happening.
go through everything a lot faster because you're working towards that.
Alrighty. One thing I think everybody thinks of when packing up for a trip like this would be, what sort of things did you pack when leaving, thinking I'm going to need this, but you haven't needed it whatsoever, and it's just wasted space?
Well, for me, is with homeschooling the 3 kids, was PE. So I thought I would need a whole lot of PE stuff to keep them busy, keep them occupied, and half of it we've actually donated.
Yeah, right.
And we gave away because we thought that the kids would use it for me to keep them busy going from school to having to fill in their days each when we're out. So yeah, we found that we didn't even need half of the school stuff that the kids will need, and clothes. So we've actually been surprised that we can live off 2 weeks worth of clothes.
Yeah, nice. What about you, Ben? Have you found anything that you that you packed thinking I'm going to need it, and then you just haven't? I know you've got a whole heap in that trailer down the bottom there.
I brought too many tools, but I'd rather have them and not need them than need not have. Like, I've got my welder, we've got gen set, I got all the tools imaginable, but thankfully I've had them because I had to do wheel bearings in the car, I had to fix the harmonic balancer, I've had to weld up a washing machine bracket.
Yeah.
And being remote, where one of them was, having the tools was easier. Instead of driving for 45 minutes to find a tool that you needed, at least you had them there.
Alright, on the flip side of that, what stuff did you not pack that now you look back and gone, shit, I should have grabbed that?
The only thing really that we've brought that we've really needed was the wool.
Yep.
because our first one was an Aldi special and it disintegrated itself.
Yeah, right.
So I wish that I had spent the money to buy a decent wall beforehand.
Yep.
I wish that I had done the awning beforehand, because there was an option for a barrel that was gifted from a friend, but I never got around to it.
So just as a bit of context there, the awning that we're actually sitting under, Ben actually replaced that yesterday. Had to buy one from a caravan dismantlers, and
And
yeah,
your help.
yeah, with a bit of help from me.
But I don't think there's been much. Oh, not knowing that in some of the colder weathers we've needed extra, like doonas and blankets, but I wouldn't say we've really needed.
Nothing that you really
No.
needed that you didn't bring along.
No.
Oh,
I think we, because we've been camping for so many years and things, we kind of knew what we'd use and what we'd need. And before we eventually headed off, we had done 5 weeks beforehand.
yeah, right.
Just
That was
quick
just
stint.
me, Bex, and the 3 kids, and just one car, and we did 5 weeks. So we had a feel for the caravan before we decided to.
That's probably
Just
actually
about.
quite a good idea, is to get used to everything before you actually do step out and
And
go for
knowing
it.
that the enclosed was a good thing for in the rain,
No.
we didn't have so much out. You could pack it away and know that it was.
Yeah,
But that's the same for camping. Like, if you're going to go camping for the first time, go 5 minutes from home. If you forget
Yeah.
something, you can run home, grab it, or run into Big W and buy another air mattress because you popped one. Like, doing dry runs like that is always a
good thing.
beneficial.
you learn that way what you do and don't need.
Yeah.
Alrighty, now you've already touched briefly on this one. How do you go about the kids' education?
So I guess luckily I'm a qualified teacher aide, but I homeschool the kids, so they work through an amazing homeschool based program, and it takes about 2 to 3 hours in the morning, but if we find that it's bad weather or that there's more to do around, we can do 2 of our homeschooling in one day,
Okay.
and then we go out
Get a free
and
day.
explore more and free day. Like if it's raining sometimes, we'll take our schooling to a library.
Yeah, nice.
So we've got a different atmosphere, something different.
Yep.
And yeah, I tend to do our PE around playgrounds.
Yep.
So explore different playgrounds and
Yeah, nice.
find the different stuff.
Yeah, and then there's arguments over who gets to sit inside when it's raining.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that was actually the next question. How has it been living in such close quarters for so long, especially in bad weather?
The first few weeks of really bad weather were terrible. You just get sick of each other's face.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how long, even dealing with the kids all their lives, being in a enclosed box and not being able to get out,
Yeah.
you do go a bit stir crazy. You end up finding a reason just to go down to the shops to go for a walk around because you can't really do too much.
I get the same thing in the house.
Yeah.
And then we find when it's some bad days, I will take the kids out so
Yep.
that Ben can work in the
Inside.
caravan and Nanny can have the space so that we can go out. And so
Yeah. Now you've actually been lucky enough to work in some absolutely amazing places from some of the photos and that I've seen.
Yep.
I don't think I could imagine much of a better life sitting under here and in an absolute beautiful spot while you're working. That'd be a pretty bloody choice.
Oh, it has been. Rainbow Beach, right on the beachfront.
Yep.
That was our 5-week trip. We were moving places and we weren't able to check into the caravan park, so we went and set up down by the beach and I watched the waves roll in while working. Can't complain.
Would have been bloody nice.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not everyone's that lucky.
No,
It'd be bloody good.
but the other side of it is it's given us an opportunity to take our time.
Yeah.
People want to race through their holiday. They want to go across Australia and they do a week from Newcastle to Perth and back. Like, did you even stop?
Yeah.
Whereas
Well-
we're able to travel a little bit, then stay a couple of weeks.
So you guys have been travelling at the moment for 18 months. You have come from what, Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria and South Australia, is that correct?
And then back again.
And
yeah.
then back through.
Back through to New South Wales.
So yeah, you got to take your time and see a bit more and enjoy it a bit more.
We find the smaller towns, there seems to be more, like the history that we have learned from the smaller towns has been unreal, that sometimes aren't even marked anywhere, that we like to stay in a place and then go off on the weekends like 2-3 hours from each different area, and some of them aren't even marked. Like the places that we've seen has been unreal.
So I think
And
They're not
even
advertised.
as slow as we have travelled, I feel like we've gone past a lot and we've missed a lot.
Yeah, like you go back on Wiki Camps and we're like, how did we miss that place? When someone's posted something, it's been like, but we were there, we drove that, how did we miss that?
So I think a takeaway from that would be just take your time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just
Don't rush it.
Don't rush. You're not in a hurry.
Yep.
Don't, travel 15-hour days to get somewhere, because the stuff in between is the stuff that you'll miss.
But we've also found like information centres, you go to them and they have signs up of stuff that you didn't even know that was there. Like one information centre had a whole walkthrough in Mount Gambier of their sinkholes and the whole tourist of around it, and we wouldn't have known that they were there if we hadn't gone to an information centre and found their local.
Yeah. Ben, you did touch briefly on this before. What are some things that have happened along the way that were unexpected? You mentioned about the issues with the car.
Wheel bearings, harmonic balancer, my clutch bearing went out. I've had to redo the plumbing in the caravan.
About 12 volt solar or any of that sort of stuff had much of an issue while you've been on the road? Or?
No, touch wood.
I know you've just replaced the solar panel on one of the cars, but
Had the aircon replaced 12 months ago when we were here in Morisset.
Yep.
But that was due, brought a Facebook special and it never worked.
Yeah,
so
right.
needed to be upgraded, and it was just unfortunate that it was Christmas time.
yeah.
But we got an awesome deal from a local company and preferred to buy things like that than, order off whatever websites.
Yep. Yeah, fair enough.
So, but nothing show-stopping has happened for us.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, wheel bearings a bit of pain,
Harmonic balance is a bit of a pain too.
a clutch bearing, but still drive without a clutch.
Yeah, well. For each of you, what have you liked the most about the journey?
Variation in the landscape has
Oh.
been the best thing. Like, if, hopefully when we get up the Cape, you'll see the change from New South Wales to Queensland.
Yep.
It is very definitive that Queensland is quite dry all the way till past Brisbane.
Yeah, right.
And then as soon as you cross over into New South Wales, it's green rolling hills.
Yeah, right.
It is so bizarre and unexpected.
Now, you guys may remember back in the 2025 update video, I mentioned that I've been invited to the Cape sometime this year. Well, Ben's actually the one that's invited me along. So if
Guilty.
it all works and I end up heading up there, I'll be riding shotgun in Ben's NL Pajero by the look of it. So should be an interesting journey, that's for sure. What about for yourself, Max?
I have found that the kids have, the kids and all of us have stepped outside of our comfort zones. Have just the exploring, the wanting to try new things, the memories, the imaginations and stuff that now, I guess with them being in school, that you now see them day to day, it's just,
Yeah, nice.
And the other side of it is them getting a bit older, and when you go to an event like New Year's Eve, they're getting to the age that they can go and buy their own snacks and things. We keep an eye on from afar, but they're getting to that age that they can go out and they can
Have a little bit more
spend
solo
their own
freedom.
money, or run into the shopping centre while we're getting groceries, and they'll go and look at EB Games or...
But knowing that, the children with being on the road have learnt to value more things than what we did back home. They don't take as much things for granted now. They've wanted to learn to cook, to help him on the car. They've wanted to learn new things and seem to have asked more questions, more knowledgeable and wanting to learn
And then,
more about the culture and the history.
understanding power.
Yeah.
A simple thing like power. So when we were off grid for 7 weeks, they only charged their devices when the sun was out.
Yeah, right.
Because they understood that solar panels gave us power.
Yep.
So we needed the solar to run the fridges and run our little fans and everything else, but they also understood that that was their technology devices as well. So it took them a little bit to come around to it, but that's a learning curve that we all had to undertake, and we had to understand what our power needs were and then start turning things off.
Yeah, fair enough. And we're kind of guilty of that at home. We just leave power on all the bloody time, lights and stuff like that. And I find when I'm camping, I turn them off a lot more, but at home we tend to leave them on. Mrs. loves to leave the fans on in every bloody room.
Well, that's the thing about this. It's not that we're camping. This is our home. We are living from it.
Yeah, so you
That's
have
a
no
while
choice.
to
There's a...
switch that.
It has its own ecosystem, so to speak, of things you put in and things you take out. So we know that we're going to get so much solar during the day, but we can't guarantee that we're going to be able to replace everything that we use. So while we can run the aircon off grid, we can't always run it all night if we're going to have cloudy weather, or if the sun's not going to come up to an hour later, or like there was just so many variabilities in that side of things that we've had to sort of understand. And then when you're off grid, you've got to go sit outside and just deal with the heat rather than having the aircon going. Very much so.
Just quickly on the solar note, how much power in that have you guys got in your solar input and battery life?
1.72 kilowatt of solar,
Yep.
660 amp hour lithium, 3,000 watt inverter charger. I've seen solar charging of 125 amp at 12 volt.
Yeah, nice.
Aircon pulls 80 to 90 amp when going.
Yep.
But when it cycles off, it only pulls about 15 to 20 amp.
Yeah, right.
So
you get a fair bit of aircon use out of it still, but...
Oh, yes.
Yeah. But as you said, you can't always guarantee if clouds come over or something, you can't guarantee you'll get the power back.
Yeah, it's not an issue of using the power. We can use it all day, every day, but it's replenishing what you use.
Yep.
And that's why I've always gone by the rule of thumb of 3s.
Okay.
So you're meant to have 3 times your battery capacity in solar. So we're at 660, which should put us at, 1,960 watts.
Yep.
So we're very close.
Not quite.
But not
close.
quite.
Next question on the list is, what did you like the least about travelling so much?
Yeah, well, I wanted to say people, but I didn't.
People's always a dislike.
Yeah, but because of the nature of showgrounds and caravan parks, that they are a cheaper form of accommodation, you do get...
Riffraff?
Want to put it politely, yes, riffraff, homeless people, people that were on drugs and are trying to get themselves back into living and things, and the calibre of people have been vastly different than what you would normally contend with.
Yeah, right. And I know with the housing crisis and stuff like that we have going on with so many people are becoming homeless.
Oh, yeah.
I guess these places are just filling up with it.
Yeah, and not by choice for most people. By choice for us and other people who travel.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely not by...
Yeah. There's a lot of people lately that are working full-time jobs but are still forced to live out of caravans or out of their cars and things like that. So it's a pretty sad situation, I think, the whole housing crisis at the moment.
Oh yeah, very much so.
That's one eye-opener, I must say, that has been on the road. It is a very eye-opener.
Like when we've been near bigger townships and we're going for a drive-in to go shopping, and there's a tent city with the roadside banners used as roofing because everything else is just disintegrated and just trolleys piled up around because they go and get shopping and they come back, and it's sad and unfortunate that they're in that situation.
And then it's not always drugs and alcohol that are causing that. As I said, there's people working full time.
Full-time jobs that can't afford a house, or there isn't a house available.
That we found out, if their families are bigger, people won't take them on in the house if they have too many children.
Yeah. Fuel consumption.
Oh yes, when you go to fill up both cars.
And they're both petrol, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's 3.5 litre V6 petrol Pajeros, especially towing this caravan.
Oh, yes.
They'd be going through a couple of bucks worth of fuel, I'm sure.
We're nearly just under 500.
When we fill up both at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a couple of dollars for sure.
But that wasn't so bad because we'd stay in a place for 2 weeks.
Yep.
So you had a couple of weeks to either use a little bit of fuel and then fuel her up and then leave, and only travel a couple of 100k.
Yep.
So you weren't chewing through it as much.
Yeah, when my car was the one that had to always be
filled up.
Next along the line, what sort of additional things have you had to consider with the dogs?
This sounds really funny, but staying at some caravan parks where some of them, so crazy as it is, will actually charge you for some dogs.
Yeah, right.
But not children.
Okay.
But then other caravan parks, they won't charge for dogs, but they do
Charge
for
for
children.
extra people.
Extra people, and it's just finding
Yeah.
what works and...
That's why most of our mainstays have been showgrounds.
Yeah, right.
Because they charge per site,
Yep.
and the 6 of us were able to fit on one site.
And they're dog friendly. A lot of the showgrounds are dog friendly, and you've got more room and space. And they normally have like the dog runners off the sides of them, because we always leave ours on a lead, but they always need that little bit of run around
bit of time
off
to
the
run
lead. Yeah, so we found showgrounds to be our...
Yeah. So obviously national parks and that are off the cards when you're travelling with the dogs. But
State forest is okay.
Yeah, state forests are good.
Where's the mushrooms?
Speaking of state forests, when are we going up the Watergans?
Soon enough. Was the other day not enough for you?
No.
Okay.
I want to show you more up there. I mean, we could barely see 4 foot in front of us the other day.
4 feet. That was being generous.
But come on, you got some amazing photos out of it though.
Oh yeah, as you can see on the screen now. All right, last one I've actually got on the list is, how do you go about storing things that don't generally live inside the caravan? Like you said about all the tools and stuff like that you carry. How have you got all that set up?
So we have a second trailer with us, an enclosed box trailer that I built, and that just has tubs inside of it, and a drawer that has a couple of containers and things in it, and just some clip containers. I've probably got way too much hardware in there.
Yeah, from what I saw earlier, I'd agree.
But I don't
more than
have
I've got in the garage.
I don't have to run to a local hardware store to get things. I can fix things pretty much straight away. Do I have too much? Probably. But I feel as though it's just enough as well.
Yeah. Well, as you said, it's kind of better to have it and
not need it. But it's also excess weight that you have to lug around. So we've had to pay for that in terms of fuel consumption when travelling. But then also by not having to go out, you've saved a little bit.
And we can explore more as a family and see more with it.
No.
It all becomes a balancing act too, though, because we found that you spend a bit more now on groceries because we're at home. You could bulk buy, where now you can't bulk buy because you're limited on fridge space or freezer space and just space in the caravan.
Actually, I didn't even think about that. What have you guys got in the way of fridge freezers?
Ben knows that way.
We've got 5 fridges with us. 110 litre upright, 85 litre upright, 75 litre dual zone, and 2 40 litre Wacos.
Yeah, right. What's actually in the van?
In the van is a 110 litre upright and a 75 litre dual zone.
Okay, so the other uprights and the
are in
Wacos
the back of the cars. So inside the caravan, half the 75 is running as freezer.
Yep.
That is our overall freezer space. Then The other half of it is fridge space, which is generally soft drink cans, some water bottles, milk, like the larger bottles, because the upright fridge doesn't really accommodate that. The upright fridge is sauces, salads,
Your snacky lunch stuff.
cheese and butter and marge and that. And then one of the Wacos in the back of the car, if we are going away from a supermarket, we will turn it on to freezer and we'll have an extra 40 litres of frozen meat and veggies and whatever else with us.
Yep.
The freezers in the uprights are not reliable enough to have frozen food in it.
And they're not real big either.
No, they're just like bar fridges.
Yeah.
Keeps our Zupa Dupas in it.
Keep Zupa Dupas in the car, which is great for
they're a staple in the Australian summer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
But like, we had ice creams in them.
Yep.
And you go a couple of days later, get the ice creams out and they're flat because they've all defrosted and melted.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it doesn't.
So, yeah, seemingly all uprights suffer the same fate.
I know we've spoken about this. A lot of people throw little fans in some of them and that to try and help keep things cooler and stuff.
Yeah, help circulate the air. The problem with them mostly is that the freezer acts as the cooler for the fridge.
Yeah.
And so the freezer will stay frozen until the fridge... it won't stay frozen until the fridge reaches the right temperature to kick in the compressor.
Yeah, right.
So it's... Yeah, unfortunately 12-volt fridges, the uprights suffer all the same.
Yeah, right. I think that's one reason I like me drawer fridge then.
Drawer fridge. That's why I like the Wacos. They're besides melting the internal fuse, which is quite common with them.
Oh, that's not a good thing.
But easy enough to replace. But
Yeah, well.
as long as you know what the issue is, then you can swap it out.
Yeah, right. Alright, I think that's about all the questions I have for you. So, thanks for sitting down doing the video. And of course, thanks for supporting us through Patreon and that as well. Even though I haven't been able to do as many trips as I want to, it still comes in very handy. And you guys will see soon as well, there'll be a whole bunch of new stickers and whatnot coming out on the website. And Ben has forced me to design a specific one, so wait and see until they come out. I think he might like them. Alright guys, that's it for me. If you've liked it, please remember to leave a like. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. Yama Bujiri Murugu. Walk a good path. Yano, goodbye.